Hi, NA, Jason William Mitchiner Galbraith, GAOMG. Just want to go over all of the books that I've written and miracles that have really come into play that no other author has ever done, can ever do, and will never do. That I have. That truly makes me the greatest author of my generation, and it'll never be duplicated. And everything I've done is absolutely 100% uh, authentic and documented by the media, by social media, by YouTube, all my videos. You can see over 20 years of me writing my books and everything that I've done. So I've talked about it before, but this is certainly a miracle. Is writing. This is my third book, which is my third in my first trilogy, and it's actually the beginning of my trilogy. I wrote my trilogies all backwards, which is very amazing. And then my second trilogy that I'm finishing now with my 10th book actually starts before all that. So I did all of my trilogies backwards. My first book is actually the very end of all of my trilogies. So that's pretty interesting. And when I was writing this trilogy, I had no idea that I was Scottish, and I wrote about Captain Kidd, and he's the most famous pirate from Scotland. And I didn't even know when I during the pandemic and over COVID, and I did all my DNA results. I didn't know I was Scottish. I didn't know I was from all these famous clans and these great warriors and Stuart royalty. And my number one paternal ancestor, that's the greatest uh, ancestor, warrior, and king Scotland has ever seen. I'm going to drop that one April 6th on Tartan Day. But this was one of the miracles is again, I was writing all about pirates and stuff, and I never knew that I was actually a pirate and descended from a pirate. I lived on a boat in Marina del Rey. You can see all the clips too for over a decade with no running water, no power, just line from the dock, and no bathroom. So that was very pirate living for sure. I definitely have the pirate inside my blood and my DNA. This is my pirate that I'm related to on my paternal side. This was all from my big Y DNA test that just goes after your biological father's father and nothing else. It doesn't look on your maternal side or anything like that. So this was from my paternal biological father is Samuel Black Sam Bellamy. Is that I am related to, descended from, part of a relative to him, and it's really cool. Is the family tree DNA? It breaks down like you can see all of your DNA, like this specific one, and then you can type it in to the DNA and see exactly how you're related to your ancestor, and then it breaks down. These are like your SNPs, and these are like a big deal. It tells you down the line like where you are from your SNPs, which is like it's where your DNA morphs into a different like identifiable marker of your DNA, and then you can break it down even further with each one of your haplogroups that you came from that SNP. And if that makes sense, you can look it all up and everything. But my number one paternal ancestor from Scotland, the greatest warrior from Scotland and greatest king Scotland has ever seen. I can show you the SNP that he comes from, and then absolute my haplogroups that bring us a lot closer, and it's just amazing. But again, I wrote about pirates and everything before I even knew that I was had ancestor paternal pirates in me, and that this pirate is so cool, Black Sam. He was called the Robin Hood of pirates, and his crew called themselves the Robin Hood's Men. And if you know my story, during COVID, Uncle Rupee Murdoch fired everybody at Realtor.com and at News Corp while he made record-breaking profits. And then I was able to chop his head off, make him bleed green for $1.47 million to me and to everybody that he fired during COVID. So that was also very pirate like. And then the other thing that I've done is one of the miracles. Again, this series is going to be like miracles that were done that nobody else can, no author in the world will ever do them. You can Google anything that I've done. This was my first book that I wrote, published in 2006. And I go into like sharks, that my main character, and I always do it in first person. So a lot like your author, what I've experienced, I also write my books, but I write all this with the pirate before I even knew that I was related, descended from a pirate, and from Captain Kidd, who again is the number one pirate from Scotland. And then when you look at Clan Kidd, their clan, where they're descended from, like there's Captain Kidd right there, and where he comes from, Scotland, is the names. The Kidd family descended from the the Strathclyde Britons of Scotland. And then when I was looking up, before I found out my paternal side, who I'm related to, and I was just looking up my paternal side for Galbraith, because that was such an unusual name. And I had no idea that I'm Scottish and came from famous clans and royalty from Scotland. Is that when I looked up the Galbraith, it says that this is a reference to the origin of the clansfolk belonging to the ancient Strathclyde kingdom, from Scotland at Dumbarton Castle, which is on the River Clyde in Scotland. And Captain Kidd, his clan comes from the same area. And when I look at my Galbraith ancestors, they intermarried with a lot of clans from their area. I descend from the Argyll, Bute, and Loch Lomond, and that's where a lot of them, the Kingdom of Strathclyde, were living and at, and then also from the Lennox and that area. But one part that I wrote in my book that was really amazing and a miracle. Again, I wrote this before 2006, published in 2006. So I was talking about my main character, and he's just talking about how that he was standing as the skiff was slowly sinking. More white sharks joined the frenzy. I looked at my rope hand burn throughout, about how hard I'd fought fate to stay alive on this ship, and now I was going to get eaten by sharks. So I'm writing about like my main character getting eaten by sharks. And when you go on YouTube, you can see I document after I wrote my first book and I came up with the whole naked author, uh, you know, identity, I guess, so people would remember me, because my name is really hard to spell out to find me. And you can see me scuba diving. This is over like 14 years ago that I did this. And I had already wrote my book about getting eaten by sharks, and I talk about what's better, seeing sharks than actually in the water with them. It's always unreal until the sharks bite you. And here's a shark. I'm scuba diving with alone in Key West. It's a big like black tip shark, um, back 14 years ago. And that's me again, scuba diving with my books and my whole like fingernail polish, lipstick, my whole naked author gear, face all done. It's really cool. But I did not know like how close I was going to come to death from sharks that I wrote about back in 2006, before I even went scuba diving and started my whole naked author, whole identity. But this really goes into all of my pirates too that I talked about. This was all of the piracy when I was going to join, enlisted in the military after 9/11. But it's also this shark is the closest I came to, and you can see it over there, the body language that this shark had. And I didn't realize how big the shark was either when I was going to take the picture of it. I didn't realize like how big it is. And it was a gray reef shark, like over 8 feet, bigger than I was. And its body language got so aggressive, and he swam right up to my face, and I did not breathe out of my regulator or anything. And its cat like its eyeball goes up and down, went right by my face, and I pretty much thought I was going to get eaten alive by a gray reef shark. And you can see gray reef sharks too on YouTube and see how aggressive they are. So I came very close to what I wrote about before I even had any of those encounters with sharks back in 2006 with my first book I ever wrote. And this is my third book that I wrote, which is the beginning of my whole trilogies. And again, with Captain Kidd, that I didn't even know I was Scottish, and I didn't even know Clan Kidd came from the Kingdom of Strathclyde, which my clan Galbraith on my paternal side comes from. So these are just massive miracles that your author went through, and again, it's all documented, on YouTube, like all the things that I've done. I mean, over 20 years doing this and coming to the grand finale and going to Scotland with my 10th book, my second trilogy that begins all of my books and everything that I wrote about before I even knew who I was. Those are all miracles. So I'm going to document more of them too as time goes on. But definitely getting eaten alive by sharks almost happened to me, and I wrote about it before it almost happened to me. So cheers.